Okay, so I'm going to officially start now. Thanks everyone for joining us today for the first AMA we've done in a little while. Obviously, it's the first AMA in the new media room, which is pretty cool. As you can see in the background, the screen's a bit glary still. That's a work in progress. We don't need that for today anyway. What I wanted to do today was just talk to everyone about some updates that we've been, tackling, how the progress of the game's going, what's coming in the next week or two before Christmas. As people may have seen, we recently announced the roadmap. It's in the roadmap channel for those who are looking for that. So we're currently on track for that 100%. And as of this Friday, people will be able to access the beta again. This will, contain the village, contain the resources you've been winning from spins. So any spins that you've been doing to date, all those resources will appear in the bar at the top where your normal resources would appear. If you interact with the game, build, upgrade, etc., they will not be affected. They will be given to you at launch, so you can go nuts with that. So the spinning wheel won't be permanent. We want to, reward people who have premium buildings. But as of next Friday, Capture the Thief will be available. We're not sure how long we'll keep the spinning wheel on for. We will bring it back closer to launch again, but we basically wanted to give you guys who have been around the longest the head start to collect these resources because they won't be available at launch as readily as they are now. So we'll give you guys a head start with upgrading and playing the game. So with Spinning the Thief, there will be a very, very tiny chance, and Father Paul, this might be news to you I haven't mentioned this to you, but there'll be a tiny chance of winning one of the t-shirts. So if you are one of the lucky people who spin and win a t-shirt, then if you're interested, we can organize a ticket and get that sent out to you. That'd be one way to win a t-shirt. What we'll do now is, one second, sorry, I've just lost my screen. What we'll do for today is we'll be doing a Commander free spin. And as of the next AMA, we'll probably be giving out some t-shirts. So yeah, please join us for all of these. It's very helpful to get feedback, get some, some of the more complex questions. That helps us think. And yeah, so as of next Friday, the beta in its first form will be back up, and we will also be restarting marketing at this point. For those who were around before we, did the rebuild, we were pretty strong with marketing. We're going to resume that just to get things back on track. Apologies, one moment. Cool. Excuse me. And so yeah, so just to continue along, so the newest feature we have in the game is the outposts. You probably saw that in the announcements. They are a smaller building than any previous building, and they're designed because we're entering a bear market, and there's certain people, like the barrier for entry for our game is the barracks is the lowest the lowest cost building. So we've introduced the outpost to kind of lower that barrier of entry, so more people can join the game and play. Yeah, so those are available at the moment, and one thing about those is, and I don't like to, for those who know me, I don't like to do any form of, hidden utility, that type of thing, but there is something unique about these that I can't mention yet, which has to do with the relic you can probably see at the top. So those actually, they're pretty cool what's going to be happening with those, so I'd suggest people have a look at them and see if they're interested. But yeah, they'll be a bit different to any other building in the that we have available at the moment. And so yeah, so outposts themselves will be available for in both for both PVM and PvP. However, the PvP troops won't have a type. Like at the moment we've got ranged, mounted, and melee. And these troops will not have a type. They won't be included in the type system. They'll be considerably weaker, but they'll still be able to, pack a punch. So it means that people can play PvP for a much lower barrier of entry. Just a reminder that, we have commanders and weapons, but those aren't necessary. They do provide, additional stat boosts and spells. That's what I'll be talking about a little bit today, is another, about the commanders and weapons we have in the new staking function. But to remind people that the rare and above weapons and commanders, they have spells. The commanders having, in-game spell, fireball, that type of, those types of spells, whereas the weapons themselves, they summon the world bosses to come fight for you, so that's pretty cool. You can probably see the world bosses are available, the bios and backgrounds are available on the white paper. And yeah, so I'm going to talk to you about staking today and what we're doing with staking. So what we've done is we've brought forward staking itself as a mechanism, and that's because, people have grabbed the NFTs, and they'll be available for PVMs shortly. But we wanted to reward those people early on, and so what we've done is we've brought forward staking considerably, and that will be available as of next week. We've tested the smart contracts; they're going great. We're doing the user interface at the moment, and we're finalizing the collection themselves. So the collection itself has so scrolling down a little bit. The collection itself, in terms of all the all the NFTs, are about 1 to 2 weeks off. We've done the all the designs. We're just doing the matching the color schemes, that type of thing, and then we'll be rendering the collection. So, touch wood, when staking is officially launched, you should be able to see your NFTs. If not, that pre-reveal image will remain for a few days until we get that finalized. So that's exciting. I'm really excited for that. So I'll explain how staking works for our project. So what we've designed to do is not affect the game, not affect the ecosystem, not affect the currency. And what we've done is players can stake and earn Warzone token, which is a unique token purely for unlocking unique and rare NFTs. So players can stake up to 12 weapons and up to 12 commanders, and they can earn this Warzone token. And what happens, is you collect this Warzone token and you can use it to purchase, rare and unique NFTs. And the first collection we've got is the Poseidon collection. So, when staking's live, players will be able to earn this token and unlock Poseidon, the commander, the Trident as the weapon, and we've actually got a third type of NFT called it's a Guardian NFT, right? And this is more of it's a unique one because it cannot be purchased. It will never be able to be purchased. It's more like a trophy. It's you can only get it from winning competitions or staking. It's going to be these Guardians are going to be quite rare and quite valuable. We are giving people the chance to mint them for this collection. They might not be available in the future staking collections, not in everyone at least, or be quite difficult to get. But again, the aim is with these types of things is that as we expand and we grow bigger, you guys have been around from the very start, and we want to reward you however we can, and in ways that don't affect the ecosystem directly. And so so what you can do is you can stake your up to 12 weapons and up to 12 commanders, and when you earn enough token, you can either mint Poseidon the commander, the weapon, the Guardian. You can eventually get all three. But another important thing to note is with our collections is the first people who mint these collections, the first 15 people, will receive like a one-of-a-kind version. So, for example, the very first person to earn enough token to mint, Poseidon, the Trident, or the Guardian will receive a gold version that has a glowing effects, that type of thing, makes it very unique. Similarly, the top three will get gold, silver, and bronze. They're one of a kind. The next 12 after that will get a prestigious one. These are called nobility mints, and again, these are cosmetics. They don't affect the stats of the NFTs at all whatsoever, but it adds the rarity. So as the game gets bigger and as we expand, and then we have 10 times the player base, 20 times the player base, that these people who never had a chance to get the Poseidon commander might go, oh, like how do I get that? And that adds the value in that sense. So, and just to also add, the strength of these will be about the equivalent of an epic. We're not making them overpowered because that would just be unfair. We want to make them so they're powerful enough, but not the be-all and end-all. So that's kind of how the NFT staking works. So that will be available sometime next week. We'll give you an exact date as we get a little bit closer. I will note that, because you'll be receiving your token daily, if you want to be one of those first people that mints, I would have whatever collection you're going to be doing, have that ready, have that planned out, and make sure that you jump on straight away and, start staking those so you can be one of the first people, because it's purely first in best dress for minting. Obviously, because these are three different NFTs, you might want to focus on one, keep track of which ones have been minted, because you might be going for a gold Guardian, for example. Someone might beat you to it, so then you might go for the Trident. Whereas that person who minted the Guardian can't get all three straight away anyway. So it kind of gives it a fair, balanced distribution, that type of thing. And one more thing to mention about the NFT collection is, for those who haven't seen on the white paper, we also have given the earliest collection a staking bonus percent. So NFT collections typically have they have whitelists and they have this build up hype. I don't like that, especially because our NFTs have utility. So what we've done is we've designed a staking, like a percent bonus to the earliest mints of the collection. So basically, for every 0.5% of the collection that's minted, this staking bonus reduces. It starts at 25%. So whoever I'll use commanders for an example. Whoever owns the first 100 commanders, you have a 25% permanent staking bonus, which means that your uncommon will be earning 25% more than an uncommon 70% through the collection. And when this is traded in the marketplace, this transfers as well, which also gives these earliest mints that additional bonus because you can only mint 12. You can only stake 12. So people looking to compete for those, those nobility mints will be looking for those ones with the boost. So again, we've done this predominantly to say thank you to the guys, you all that have been around since the beginning. But it also adds a bit of complexity to the staking system, which I like complex systems. So and yeah, so at the moment, I think just having a look. At the moment, the commanders are down to 24%, so the 1% less, and weapons are down to 23%. So if you minted weapon number one, you'd have 25%. If you minted one right now, you'd have 23%. I believe the weapons are dropping in 5, I think. Weapons being a smaller collection drop more rapidly. And that's the staking stake minting bonus. So that will be available. So that will apply when staking is released. That system is designed as well, the back end for that. As you can see, we're designing multiple things at once. We want to make sure that we're in a bear winter, so we want to make sure that all these utilities are coming out, giving people that when they're looking at our project and other projects, they think, okay, this one's got X, Y, Z. This is already designed. We want people to be looking at us and saying, wow, I want to jump into that project. So that's why we're instead of Zerg rushing the relaunch of the game, we're also doing these things on the side because it does benefit the project overall. Obviously, the game itself has taken a little longer to get back up. We've rebuilt it using a different language, so that's why it's taken a little bit longer. But in the next couple of weeks, everything will be back up to the way it was, and we'll be aiming for a January launch still, which I'm really excited about. And yeah. And just to scroll down in my little list of notes. I won't spend too much time on this one because it's not a new concept, but we're doing with regards to the mints. For every 3 that you mint commanders or weapons, you can get a free one. Just there's a Google Doc, you just fill that in, share the transaction hash, and yeah, you'll get those. You'll get free mint. So that's kind of a little bonus for people as well. And for those looking to unlock all 3 parts of the Poseidon collection, which again, that will be available until launch, so it's a limited one. This is a good way to get there because you get extra mints which you can lock in for the staking. And in my notes, I think that's the core stuff I wanted to cover. So today was also about getting people to anyone who wants to ask any questions, anything you've had in your mind the last couple of weeks, throw out to me. Skylake, sorry you can't see the shirt. Are you available, Deaking?
Yeah.
I'll get you to read the. If anyone wants to ask questions in Game Talk, I can't actually access it from this screen. Is there any questions in Game Talk? Does anyone have any questions? You can use voice. Voice is preferable for me to be able to answer for you guys, but if you prefer to type it, I'll get Deaking to read them out for you. What's that? Sorry. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There is also the general chat that you can use as part of this. If you don't mind me just opening it up for you.
Oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that's a feature.
There on the side panel. So it's probably better to use that one.
Alan, nobody wants that at all, ever, whatsoever. I don't even have a voice for radio. I can type, but you have to put up with my voice. But no, nobody wants that, and Chroma, nobody wants that either. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, there's actually a very good question, and no, they won't be. No, they won't be, Russell. So the idea is that we don't want people to hoard. Yeah, that's a very good. I'll read out the question. The question was, will the Warzone tokens be transferable from one series to the next. So can you hoard if you can't reach the gold, the top 3 for Poseidon? Do you want to hoard them and use it for the next collection? The answers, they won't be transferable. The idea is that every time there's a collection, these restart so people can have a fair chance. Otherwise, people can potentially hoard them from the very start, and nobody new will have a chance, and that's not really fair on new players. Plus, it's not very desirable for people who are looking to stake. Staking is a big thing. And that's one thing that overlaps with these collections. So obviously there's a big section of crypto that love NFT art and they love the utility, but they've never played the game. So there's going to be an overlap where people are, and that's why you probably saw an influx of people recently join the server. We're promoting these as, NFTs themselves and the utility behind them because of that secondary, the passive income that these things provide. And so you are going to have people who just want to stake. And so we need to make sure that it's balanced for everyone. And so what we're going to be doing is, we don't exactly know the mechanism yet, but what we'll be doing is essentially resetting the tokens every time there's a new series. Deaking, are there any questions in Game Talk?
Nope.
Aslan, you must have a question for me.
We think.
That's okay.
I have a long list, so nah. I'll just keep it till the demo actually comes out. I mean, sorry, the beta test will be up and running. You already mentioned that it's going to come out Friday, so really excited to actually have a look at it and see what are the changes we can expect. I hope that in case anyone here has still not found out, there is a chicken that actually blasts.
No,
that
you
Easter egg is
ruined
still
it.
kept in the beta when it comes up.
You told that was a secret.
You know what? Add more chickens. So they try to find out which exact chicken one blasts. So
what
probably add more chickens on the map.
what Aslan said was, if you click one of the chickens, something special will happen. So, and to answer the or to make an answer out of a non-question there, Aslan, we've actually gone and done a fair few GUI updates. We've got the bottom building tab popping up really nicely now. We've got some more, some on hover effects. We've got the camera working a lot better. We've been going through and cleaning those things up as we go along. So it's actually, you guys won't have access just yet, but it's actually, we've already done it. We're just doing testing at the moment to make sure that the database, our back end links in properly. So I've been playing around with it. It's really cool. It's actually, it's been a blessing in disguise to, having this transition period, because I cannot stress how good the new team are. Father Paul, who's in the chat, he is just phenomenal at what he does, and so are our Web3 guys. He's a very quiet guy, so he's probably a bit introverted there, but Paul's been absolutely amazing for getting us to where we are now, and looking forward in the next 3-6 months, having this infrastructure now is going to get us to new levels that we would not have been able to get otherwise, to be honest. So it was a bit stressful at one point for those who asked me about it, but yeah, it's absolutely awesome now. So I saw your question there, Skytelex. I can answer that anyway, but no, we're going straight back to where we were. The idea is that we're going to just put the game back to where we were before, we had to rebuild it, and shortly thereafter, PVM will be finalized. Obviously, we've got the front end for that. We just want to what we want to do is we want to design events. So, the linked into social media. So Twitter will will say there's a grumbling in the ground, and then one of our bosses will spawn, and then you as a community will have to work together to kill the boss in the allotted time. You'll receive rewards for attacking, but you'll receive even more rewards if you can work together and take down the boss. That spawned. And we will make it killable. We won't make it so no matter what happens, we'll be adjusting its stats as it goes along. You'll find that there are some bosses that are harder, that basically require you nudging each other to make sure you've done your attacks, that type of thing. And some easier bosses depending on when it is. So that's really exciting what we've got going on there. And for those who aren't aware, that all the bosses that we have were designed by the community members. And you can probably see them in if you look at their names kind of match the person who designed them. Or if the person requested a name, we did, for example, Aslan did Yokotai, and Yokotai is the Mount Cryptopia boss, the big, the the Dreadnought guy, and that was based on yokai, which is a Japanese word for spirit, which Aslan suggested. So, and that's one thing that I love about this project is everything is lore based. We've got this little intricate stories. The exploding chicken was a bit of a joke, an ongoing joke that we've just decided to keep there. And yeah, so I know I trailed off there as I'm known to do, but does anyone else have any other questions? I've got a DM here. Let me try to check this out.
Mitch, I have another question. One, are we looking into the concept of, or say, right now, since the commanders and weapons are being in the mint phase, people can go ahead and have a chance to mint them. But once they're all sold out, uh, the only place that you can get them is from a secondary market. One, so there are two questions that pops up to my mind, and probably the second one might also be kind of a thought that I am thinking of. So for new players getting on board to crypto villages later on down the lane, will there be an option for them to go ahead and rent commanders and weapons, and probably that can be a revenue stream for the holders, or because that would be a lot more cheaper for people to get on, instead of, since they will have to depend on the secondary market, and
Yep.
the price might be a little higher on that side, right? So, and on the secondary market itself, are we planning to have a in-house marketplace for the commanders and weapons to be traded, or are we looking out for third-party partners, or I mean, like your Binance NFT marketplace or any other marketplace that's out there?
Yeah, good.
And I believe, uh, I don't know, OpenSea, I guess they added support for BNB as well. I just saw one of the collections yesterday.
Oh, really?
Uh,
We looked at that a
it
couple
was
of weeks ago and they
yeah.
didn't have that.
I don't
So,
know if exactly. I don't know if they have silently released it, because yesterday I just saw this collection. This was the Mobox profile pictures, which was actually sent out to all Binance, exchange users. That's how I got to know. So, it. I don't know. I'm still yet to find out more details on that, but I'll just let you know in case they have started support for it. But in case they have started support, then it might be a good option. But apart from that, I mean, are we looking for our own marketplace? And second, are there any renting ideas that you have? I mean, or lending ideas that you have
yeah,
for the commanders
by
and
the way, I
weapons?
told you have good questions. That's why I was waiting for you. So, to answer the first part is it's going to depend on the desire for the uncommons. So the uncommons, obviously, they're ironically the most common, and they are going to be the least sought after, and so we'll have to assess the price of those. The thing to remember is that every time a commander or a weapon is sold on the secondary marketplace, that everyone who holds these NFTs receive a share of 4% of that as of those royalties. So if we rent them out, it does reduce that. So that's something to consider. Because the whole point of these as well as it's passive income. I love passive income. And so by renting these, we can kind of remove that. But I suppose the best way to answer your question is we're going to have to just wait and see how it goes. I'd be inclined to say we want people to be able to sell them more readily, because if you make them rentable, then people who might want to sell them won't be able to sell them, and some people have been pre-purchasing them to sell them at a later date for that very reason. And because of that staking bonus, the mint bonus, those are more value. Like those are inherently more valuable, which means those will be rented first. Which it's a complicated question, but to answer the second part of your question, because Paul and I were going through that the other weekend. So the plan at the moment is to make a secondary marketplace if it's viable and feasible. As long as the third party marketplaces and allow us to have that B&B passive income function working, we see no reason not to put it in multiple places. It's just going to depend on the viability of a secondary marketplace and the need for it. I know a lot of NFT collections do that, and that was our original plan. However, just looking into it, it's a bit fluffy, to be honest. It's one of those things that I think NFT collections, not to insult NFT collections, do to add the utility. But yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see on that one. I'm leaning towards not needing it, but we'll see. But either way, we're going to do what's best for the passive income side of the collections. If you send me any info about OpenSea supporting that, because we looked at it the other weekend, it wasn't there. So when we were discussing this very topic, I think I covered everything.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw it. Just yeah, you're good. So I just saw this yesterday. So it has been quite a hush hush news, I guess, because I didn't read about it anywhere. But probably I'll just dig a little deeper. On the second note, I just had something else pop up on my mind. I mean, we do have this outpost, which is a new building category right now, which is the cheapest building available, right? So, can you just put in a few details on the new building category that's outpost, apart from the barracks?
Yeah. So this is the thing. I have these notes to tackle whenever I start these AMAs. But as you can tell from the more natural thing, I love talking about these more directly like this. So the outpost it's half the price of a barrack, so it's 25 BUSD. And yes, it was designed for a couple of reasons. One, that to do PvP, obviously, it's the barrier of entry is quite high. That's to reduce that. So, for example, if you have a couple of camel stables and barracks, you can use the outpost to complete your army because you need 7 troops to compete in ranked PvP. But it's also that it is because we're in a bare winter and there are different parts of the world that 50 BUSD for a barracks is quite high. That we're hoping that we can get those those players jumping in and participating in the game because we want more players. We want more community engagement, that type of thing. One thing that we have noticed recently is that because we've been building for a while and there's been a winter, and you can't blame anyone, but a lot of people are a bit disconnected from the space at the moment, and we want that community engagement. So we're hoping that having these buildings and having people jumping in, gives a breath of fresh air for the chats. So the one thing I always say to anyone who's asking, how can I help the project type thing, just come and say hello to people, engage, learn a little bit about the game. So when people ask questions, they get different answers from different people, because everyone's answers will be different, everyone's focuses will be different. So to rattle off again, the outposts, that's kind of why the outposts exist the way they do. And for those who are perfectionists, if you don't have an outpost, it will have one of those under construction map things on your screen, which might annoy some people. So just letting you know that's the case. We have capped those at 1,000 compared to the other buildings, which have more, just because we want to control those smaller ones. So they'll be available for a while anyway. Sorry, Runes. Let me answer your questions. I did see you there. I just got distracted. Runes asks, will the heroes' weapons and buildings be directly transferable from wallet to wallet, or does everything have to go through an in-game market? I'll answer that part first. So at the moment, we have no mechanism for transferring from wallet to wallet. That's not to say that if the need is, if the desire is there, we won't include that. I know that there will be people who want to spread out their, their buildings and commanders and weapons for multiple accounts. We have no issue with that. I'm very much of the opinion that, these are your assets, so you can do with them as you will. If we find that there's, we didn't account for some mechanism where someone who spreads their resources out has an unfair advantage, we will adjust the game to be fair for everyone. We won't ever penalize people. These are your assets. But in terms of direct transfer, that's going to just depend on the desire. If people put tickets in, we might be able to cope with that if it's not too many, but we might have a mechanism in place. But we will make sure that people are accommodated, Runes, and we will potentially have some kind of, grace period before the game launches where people can do that through tickets. And when you say the concept, the second question is, how does the concept of gameplay, how will that work? What will the playstyle be role? Do you mean PvP in that respect? Cool. So PvP will be, if you've ever seen Heroes of Might and Magic 3, it's a turn-based game, where you have a commander. The commander has spells. You can cast those spells. So think of like a Magic the Gathering, with different phases, turn-based, that type of thing. There will be on the map will have obstacles, different things that give ranged, troops advantage in different places, mounted troops different advantages, that type of thing. But the best way to describe it is if you go into Heroes of Might and Magic 3 and have a look, that's the gameplay we're going for. When I started CryptoVillages, I wanted to include a lot of the old 90s concepts, the old early 2000s concepts, because that's the gaming I grew up on. And I think that, bless AAA games with all the graphics, but I like the old school mechanics, and I think they're great, and I think they're very underappreciated. So I hope you guys like what we deliver with that regard. Let's have a look. Any questions in Game Talk? No. So does anyone else have any questions, queries? Does anyone want to see the shirt again? 1 sec, I got a DM here. Yeah, so it would be one commander per per battle. Yeah, and so I'll jump into the spell mechanics a little bit more. So uncommon commanders will not have a spell, and rare and epic will have one spell slot, and legendary and mythical will have two spell slots. There are specific spells available to each of those, mainly. It's too much to cover there today, but if you look at the white paper, there's different spell classes. And as for the weapons, again, uncommon weapons won't have a spell, and then rare, epic, legendary, and mythical will summon one of the 4 world bosses we have. We were going to have 8 world bosses, but it's just too many to design at the start. So each rarity will correspond to one of the world bosses, and that boss will come in, once per battle. It can come in and fight for you. Think of the summons from Final Fantasy. That's the best way to describe it. So they do give the weapons, especially the ones with spells and commanders with spells, do give an advantage. But again, and one thing I want to stress from the very start is that we are not designing this to be a pay to win. We want to make sure that people who have, mid-tier commanders and weapons and mid-tier troops can beat someone with much better troops if they're a more skilled player. Obviously, if you're the best player and you have the best stuff, you're going to win, but that's kind of any game. But we want to stress that, you're not going to need to grind a mythical to be able to win every battle anyway. So it's going to be very skill based. Let's see if there's any other questions. I don't see any other questions. Thanks. Ruben says, very well thought out. Cheers. That's one thing I love designing. That's one of my favorite things is just when I went through America and I was on the different planes, I got my little notebook out and designed a lot of cool little things. That's why they started popping back up again. So with no internet, I don't get distracted. Cool. Well, if there are no any other questions, we might do the spinning wheel. The spinning wheel, if your name isn't there, it's probably because you didn't join in time, unfortunately. We have a couple of questions. When can you have a CryptoVillages shirt? If you capture the thief, you can get one, or if you can win one from a roulette wheel. And remember, Brooke, I don't want to get stabbed. That's an ongoing joke between me and the Argentinians. It's nothing bad. Cool. So, Dishlicker asks, can you upgrade your NFTs to the next category, or is there something in the future that will allow that? And that is something we have discussed. If it's one of we call it a fusion system, we have discussed that we're going to have to look and see how things go. A lot of these things we have discussed in depth, but we can't commit to until we see practical how the systems work in practice. Because if we commit too early, then we're committed and it might ruin what makes our collections great. But we definitely will include something like that, like a fusion system where you throw 3 uncommons and you might get a rare with a chance to get an epic. We'll include those types of things if needed. They're within the realm of our scope, so that's the best I can give you this early on. That's one exciting thing. So for those who don't know, Bossio will be arriving in Australia in 3 weeks' time. He's going to be staying with me for 2 months to help with the project and hang out. When I first started CryptoVillages, he was one of the first people who approached me. It was, hello, I'm Gabrielle. I would like to help. And I said to him early on, if you're going to be committing to this project the whole time, you need to be here for launch. So we organised the visa, we organised the flights, and he's going to be here in 20 days, which I'm really excited about. And apparently he's 1.95 meters tall, so I'm going to feel really short. But then again, the Unity developers are both 1.9 meters tall, so I always feel short around those guys too. Cool, having a read. There is a way to get the Sky to Lakes. I can probably organise you one of the old versions of the shirts. I think there are some in Argentina at the moment that I can get one sent out to you if you really like. No, I'm 6 foot. That's 180 centimeters. So I think he's 6'3". Ruins. Ruin says, I hope the game grows a lot. I wish I could move my troops and build buildings. I love the theme of your game. Send me a DM after with what you mean about move your troops and build buildings. I don't exactly know what you mean, but I have some time, I might be able to help out with whatever you need. But give me a message afterwards and we can have a chat. Sorry, 1.9 meters, not 1 foot 9 inches. Bossio is the smallest midget in the world, and I actually only had to pay 20% of the airfare for him because he's in the overhead luggage the whole time with a pillow. But it's just it's going to be awesome. So that's the way. One of the reasons I set up the AMA room is because when Bossio's here, for example, all our AMAs will be done with him next to me. And we've got a secondary microphone for that. And this is gonna. What we want is you see a lot of projects, even projects 10 times the size of ours, with bad webcams and blurriness. We wanted to, as we grow, we want people to see the high production value of everything we do because gaming is an aesthetic thing, and it's important for it's important to show pride in everything we do. And one of our dogs just got into the room. Max, get out. Go away, Max. This is why it's a trial, you see. Max, out. Wait. He's attacking stuff. Oh, you're in Costa Rica. Okay. I assume that everyone's in Argentina just because all the moderators and stuff are. Okay, so if there are no more questions, let's do the spinning wheel. Have you got it set up and stuff?
Yeah, just give me one moment to have a quick play around.
You have such a smooth voice compared to me. I'm all
You just need to move a little bit to your right for me. Then it'll make your voice sound better.
Do I sound better now?
Yeah. Close to the mic.
Oh, why didn't you tell me this halfway through?
I don't like interrupting.
Fair enough. So a bit of a backstory. Back when I was doing my PhD, part of doing that involves teaching. And Zuff was actually one of my students 12 years ago. And we've kept in touch, and he's gotten really good at audio. And I don't even know how to describe your area, Zuff. And so, when he heard about the project, he decided to jump in and help out with this type of stuff. But yes, originally I was his teacher, which makes me feel really old. And spinning time now. And the winner of the commander for this week.
Required Nature's golden touch.
Hey, Joes. Congratulations, Josie.
Yeah, I love it.
Did you just say LFG, D King? Poseidon!
I love it.
Poseidon! Awesome. Let me bring up the Discord again.
Congrats.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, cool. Once again, well, usually it's Russell. Russell's had the best luck in the entire project so far, and I'm not going to divulge into too much more info. But Barracks People, aka Russell, is quite the luck box. So I will ask one more time very quickly. Does anyone have any other questions before we end this session? We will start doing these a lot more now that this is set up. And sorry for the last few weeks not having as many AMAs as we'd like. This was actually a bit of a setup to set this room up, but now that it's all all good, Zuff will be able to remote in as well rather than physically be here. So we'll be starting to do these probably weekly until launch and as needed as well. So please do join. The more people that join, the more motivated that we are to jump in and do more of these just because it's worth doing. And if you have any other questions after this, please feel free to DM me. Runes, I'll have a chat to you and we can understand what you're after and I can sort that out for you. But thanks very much for joining us, guys. And LFG, Poseidon, as D King says. And thanks everyone for your support and kind words. Okay, cheers guys. Thanks very much.